Hey, Russell Hotel's going live just for a couple minutes. You know how we do it on. Well, let me back up. We normally do this on Tuesday, right? So for the people that are kind of surprised, like what is going on here? I can't believe he's doing this on a Wednesday. But when you have somebody special on, you do what you have to do. So if I have to change my schedule around to make sure someone gets some airtime here for me, to do me a favor, I appreciate it. So Mr. Amani Roberts. I'm gonna kind of introduce him in a minute, but you can see he's here to my right. But I've been trying to get him on this show for the last, I don't know, let's go say about a year, the last year. Okay, he's been on it before, but maybe about a year ago we started talking about this, and he was telling me now he's a professor now, right? So he can't do certain days, and it just so happens that Tuesday he cannot do at 1 o'clock because he has a lecture during that time. And I've said, okay. I said, I've never done this before, Monty, but for you, I'm gonna change my whole life just so you can come on here. So I changed this, on air with Russell of Hotels, just this temporary, just only today, because he couldn't do Tuesday. He's here live with me on Wednesday. So I want to just, I'm not sure if you guys can hear the applause, but I want to thank him for coming on. I appreciate it. I appreciate the enthusiasm and energy he's been showing already. And this is a new Amani, right? I mean, this is a new Amani. So I'm just gonna jump into. First of all, let me just introduce you, and maybe he has some words before I get into his bio. So welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you coming back on.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate your flexibility and let me come on a Wednesday and not having to wait until spring break. So thank you.
Oh yeah, no. I understand you. I mean, you got a lot of stuff going on, man, and I appreciate what you have going on. I don't see you as much as I used to, but I did happen to catch a glimpse of you. I guess that was it was at October, November. That was for IMAX in Vegas. So it was good to come by and see that he was speaking as well, and we got a chance to talk and take a photo. I mean, when you're a celebrity like him, it's lucky you get that. You know what I mean? I was just so lucky to get just that little piece, just to talk, give him a quick hug, and off he went to somewhere else. But no, I appreciate everything you've been doing, man. I've been watching you from a distance, and say, you know what? One day we're gonna have him back on here, and then we're gonna be able to, talk about what's new and what's been going on. So before we get into it with him, I have this bio that I want to go through, and it's gonna be kind of lengthy. So be patient with me, okay? So it is kind of lengthy, so, and then that'll be the end of the show. That's a joke, okay? All right, just laugh it up, laugh it up. Okay, real quick. Amani Roberts is a dynamic entrepreneur, author, DJ, and educator with approximately 2 decades of experience in the music industry. He is the author of DJ Means Business, One Night Behind the Turntables Can Spin Your Company's Success, and The Quiet Storm, which hasn't come out yet, but it's coming out soon, a historical and cultural analysis of the power, passion, and pain of R&B groups. Amani hosts Adventures in Business with his co-host Mandy Granziano, a podcast and live streaming show where they explore the intersections of creativity, business, and music. Amani's experience is underpinned by his academic achievements, including a master's degree in music business from Berklee College of Music. He achieved a perfect 4.0. I mean, that's a question right there. How the hell do you do that? And a bachelor's in business administration, focusing on hospitality management from Howard University. That's the HBCU. Appreciate that. He further honed his DJ and music production skills at Scratch Academy in Los Angeles. I remember when he was going through that. His extensive experience includes working with major brands such as Marriott, 7-Eleven, Taco Bell, and Sherwin-Williams. Okay, Sherwin-Williams. That's the paint company, I believe. And he's a sought-after speaker on topics like unlocking creativity, the music business, and the music genre of R&B. His recognition within the industry further underscores Amani's credibility He's a Forbes BLK community member and has been honored with numerous awards, including being named a BizBash Top 500 in 2020 and receiving the 2022 and 2024 Outstanding Part-Time Faculty Award from Cal State University Fullerton. He is also a three-time Marriott Chairman Circle Award. Amani's work has been featured in People Magazine, Yahoo Finance, Forbes, Meeting Professionals International Magazine, and I Dominate Speaker Magazine. He is a member of the National Speakers Association and actively contributes to the hospitality and music industries through his involvement with various boards and organizations. Over the course of his career, Amani has generated over $1 million in revenue. What? Well, damn, I need to start charging you. And spoken to thousands of professionals across the globe in cities like Toronto, Canada, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas. Through his company, the Amani Experience, he continues to inspire others to take risks, find joy in creativity, and align their passions with their professional pursuits. Now, with all that, I got to re-welcome Amani Roberts to the stage. Step to the mic, Amani.
Thank you for that. I should send you the short bio next time because that was a lot. But thank you for reading all that.
No, that's okay. I mean, when you have a lot of experience and accolades and all the things that come along with that, I mean, you don't want to shortchange anything. So I appreciate you sending that to me. Yeah, I give everybody a hard time when they have a long bio, but it's important, and that way people can see. Okay, that kind of sets the table, right, for the conversation that we're about to have. So, but no, I appreciate everything you've done, man. Like I said, I've been admiring you from afar as of late, and when we get a chance to be in the same room, it is definitely a pleasure, to see you and kind of catch up. Although it's always brief, but it's always a good thing. But anyway, let's move on. What's going on now? Okay, so since you've been on the show the last time, and it's been several years, okay, maybe at least 2 years, you've received your master's, although you were a professor at Cal State Fullerton, but you now recently have, well, I guess the last year and a half, 2 years, you received your degree in music from Berklee School of Music. Now, what prompted that? Why not a degree in hospitality? Why, what's that all about?
Well, I really passionate about like the music industry and love to learn about music business. So I figured I could diversify my educational background. And I decided to go to Berklee College of Music because it's one of the most prominent music schools in the world, and got a master's in music business. So that could kind of help hone out my education where I have a focus on hospitality and music business. So I could put them both together and that would be what I am. So that was kind of the reasoning there. Plus, if I wanted to stay a professor, I had to get a master's degree. So I had to go get something. And so this was my choice.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what exactly is the what was it? It was something that you mentioned, the business of music. What is that all about? Because I remember you saying something about that before. Because people always talk about, I'm getting into music business and all this and that. But there's so much going on. And I was just listening to something a little while ago. It was a singer talking about she owns 200% of her music rights or whatever. I'm like, what the heck is? It's only 100%. How do you get 200%? Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, was that Teacher Moses who was talking about that on R&B Money podcast?
I think that was the clip. It sure was.
Teacher Moses, she's right. It's 200% because when you have a song or an album, think of like a chart. You have a song or album at the top. That is the song or album. That is 200% because 100% is the song recording, which is like the master recording. That's 100% there. Then you have 100% for the song composition, which is the lyrics, the songwriting, the publishing. And so the way the music industry divides it up is that primarily the label gets 85 to 90% of the song composition, the song recording side, which is the right side. The artist might get 10% of the revenue from that, maybe 15. Now, also, if an artist gets an advance from the label, they have to pay that back, which is called recouping, which means they might not see money for a while. Then you have the other side of a song, which is the other 100%, which is the songwriting and the publishing. So you really want artists to get their songwriting credits and hold on to the publishing because that's a very valuable piece of the song. For example, if you hear a song that's played in a movie, TV show, video game, commercial, primarily it's called sync royalties, and it's coming from that song composition side. And so she's right, like it's 200%. She was speaking about some artists, such as herself, will own, most independent artists will own the whole entire song recording side because they don't have a label, so they're their own label. They'll also own like their artist share. They probably will own a lot of the publishing, and if they wrote the song, it's like they own everything, which is 200%. That's the quickest way I can explain it, but that's what she means. So she was exactly right. It is 200%. That's the way it's referred to in the music industry.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. All right. Now I got that. Okay. Okay. Real quick, I just got a comment that I think maybe if you turn your sound a little bit down a little bit, they say there's an echo behind you,
Yeah.
just
Okay.
a little. So if you can maybe turn that down. So thank you, Victor Simmons, for chiming in and let me know that. I appreciate that. I'm not sure if it's gotten. Let me know if it's gotten better. If it's me and I need to
Yeah.
turn. Let me see if I. Let me just turn something down here on my end as well. Um, okay, so let's move
Ye-
forward. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Let me know if that works.
okay. Well, I'm waiting to see if I get another comment. But okay, I got part of that. I kind of understand that now. Okay, so what are you teaching now at Cal State Fullerton?
I teach music business and I teach entertainment operations. I created, hold on, let me make sure. It seems that the echo's gone, which is good. Um, I created this class we have at Fullerton. So Cal State University Fullerton, I created this class called Music Business. And it talks about just what we just the question I just answered and all other questions too about the music business. We talk about like touring, royalties, merch, copyright, everything involved with the business of music. And so I'll just share with you like this class. And right when I got to Fullerton in 2018, early 2019, I saw that there was a need for a music business class that's focused on the business of music. It took me 3 years to get this class approved and through the system at Fullerton. 3 years. I gotta thank like first it was Dr. Kim who helped me get it started, and then really Dr. Chandler, Dr. Jennifer Chandler, she's the one who really kind of helped me get it through. So we got it through. We had to be creative. I had to spread this class word of mouth because it wasn't in the catalog for a whole year and a half, even though it was there. It wasn't in the
Mm-hmm.
catalog. And so we had our first cohort fall 2023. So fall 22 was our first quarter full class. Each semester since spring 2024, fall 2024, and now we're in spring 2025, the class has been full. This is the first time this semester where I had a wait list for the class.
Wow.
So 4 semesters, it's just in most classes you start off with, you might get 15 or 16 students at the most. I had
Mm-hmm.
36 my first semester. I had 37 my second semester. So it's one of my most proudest achievements because I created this class for the students and they accepted it and they love it. So that's what I teach. I teach one section of that, and then an entertainment operations class, I teach two sections of that, which has music to do with it, also TV, film, and then I have a class for graduating seniors that I teach.
Wow. Why do you think it's so popular?
I think that the music business is kids particularly want to get into the music business. It's a mystery in terms of how it works. They see clips of people like Teacher Moses who are talking about how I can't get my revenue or things like that, or they see different artists and they just want to know about it. They want to work in the industry, either planning touring, they want to maybe be an A&R where they're helping to discover and develop artists. They want to work at a label, and there's such a huge need, particularly in Southern California. You're near Hollywood, there's movies, there's film, it's a big music hub, and it's just a big need. Like I had 10 students last semester that came internationally, and my class was the first class that they signed up for because in France they don't have business classes like this, and they signed up for that class and they were there. And so that just shows you the thirst of knowledge for our young professionals have for the music business.
Wow, well, congratulations. I mean that's great, and I'm sure those professors are now like, why did it take us 3 years to push this thing through? Right?
I'm gonna leave that one alone because there's a lot of red tape there. But I'm happy that we got it through. It's very inspiring, and I love teaching it. We have so much fun. I learn as much from the students as I teach them. They teach me about new artists. They teach me about how they consume and collect music. They teach me about how
Mhm.
they watch and discover artists. Like I'm there learning just as much as they're learning.
Wow. So I would assume that let's see that okay. I don't know if it's a well kept secret that you're doing that now, but I'm sure it's gotten out that you developed this class, and have you been taking your, I guess, the show on the road, so to speak? Has other people been probably like, hey, you know what, we need this guy, at least come speak with us, and that kind of thing? Has that kind of transformed into something else that maybe you didn't even expect?
Well, I will say I appreciate you asking. I coach people in the music business on how to make better business decisions. So I'm starting to meet more and more people who want to learn about the music business. They could be in bands already. They could be working full time in corporate America, but want to have a side hustle of working in music, either through a band or singing or songwriting. And those are the people that I coach so I can educate them on the music business so they can make better business decisions. So that's come out of it. I'm also starting to get more speaking opportunities, but I'm really focused on coaching people. So if anyone in the audience or you know someone who is working in the music industry or a musician and they want to get more knowledge, then I have a coaching program that I do and then also speak on it. Starting to be able to speak and apply to speak at more conferences. So that's just kind of that's kind of the steps I'm taking now, and I'm very excited. I'm excited. Just so much to share. But yes, yes, that's a long answer. A long answer to a short question.
No, and I can just see the excitement. I mean, it's beaming, man. I mean, you're absolutely beaming with this information. I mean, just the information, just the newfound, I won't say newfound success, but things that you're passionate about. I mean, I've known Monty now, I don't know, it's got to be close to 20 years, 15, 20 years,
Yeah,
somewhere around
mhm,
there. And
yeah,
not that he wasn't passionate before, but you can definitely tell now. I remember him sitting down. I remember, and a lot of people don't know this until he comes on the show and I kind of explain this or tell him that my social media prowess
man.
comes from him. He's the one that kind of said, "Hey, you need to start doing this. You need to be creative. You need to do this stuff, right?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Where do I even start?" I mean, that's when Twitter. I was on Twitter and this and that. I mean, I just got my first Twitter handle and all that. It all started from him. So I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking your time and set me up for that. And also, I remember when I was a general manager at the Sportsman's Lodge Hotel, and we were going to do these kind of day parties at the pool. Who was the first DJ that I hired? Was
Yeah.
Amani. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, we got some history here. And he started with Marriott. I started with Marriott. So
Yeah.
and I'm a couple years older than him, just so you know. But yeah, so we we both did work for Marriott at one time, and kind of transitioned to other things. But no, this dude right here is when I say he's the real deal, he's definitely the real deal. So okay, so I'm trying to get this thing here. Okay, so you're an entertainment. I mean, for the most part, you're an entertainment professor. The music of entertainment, the business of music. So how does that coincide with hospitality, or does it?
Oh. Oh, absolutely it does. Because at any event, if you want your event to be successful, you're going to need to have different elements of entertainment to keep the people's attention, particularly nowadays when the attention spans are so low. So you're going to need to have some music. You're going to need to have some visuals there, whether it be uh, small movies, small commercial, different clips. You're going to need to tap into all the senses that your favorite movies, TV shows, and songs do. So it is very closely related. The best events know this, and they capitalize on this consistently. And so there's a direct correlation, and we go back and forth, and it's collaboration there. So absolutely.
Okay, all right. I just, I had to say that, man. I had to put that in there somewhere, right? So, because there's somebody out there like, what does this got to do with, hospitality? Russell's all about hospitality. What does that have to do with that? But hey, so now you got it. Hey, real quick, let me just put this. I see a couple comments, or at least people tuning in. I see Janie Parrish. Thank you so much, Janie Parrish. I think that's like a thumbs up kind of thing. Emoji. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys listening on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, live on LinkedIn as well. So we're here with Amani Roberts, the professor. Now, I made a comment earlier that before we got on, came on, that you're a fly professor. That's my words. Can you explain? You know what I'm talking about. Can you kind of
Yeah.
explain what that is?
So I travel a lot. And so I have like offices in Los Angeles. I have offices in Las Vegas. I spend a lot of my time in Las Vegas because it's a great place for like speakers and DJs. So depending on my schedule, I might be flying from Las Vegas to LA to teach on Tuesdays. Sometimes I have to fly or I go from Los Angeles to Nashville. I spend a lot of time in Nashville also. So I really travel across the country, but I always make time in my schedule, whether or not I'm staying in Los Angeles or Las Vegas primarily or Nashville, to be in person at Cal State University Fullerton for my students. So that's what Russell means when he says I'm a fly professor. I fly back and forth. Sometimes I'll drive, but it's like I have two offices, Las Vegas and LA, and that's where my bases are. That's where I get a lot of groups and business from, and I get my frequent flyer miles from Delta if possible.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Now you mentioned Nashville. Man, I've been to Nashville maybe twice. And it blew me away because you always hear about Music City and this and that, and man, it doesn't give it justice, man. I've been there, and I've been. Was it Broadway? I think is the
Yeah.
main drag there.
Mhm.
Man, when you talk about music, almost every genre of music, right? I mean, yeah, there's heavy country, but there's R&B they're playing. They're playing all these different, and they're back to back to back on both sides of the street. Starting like I was there on a Sunday, and I swear by 10 o'clock, all these clubs were jamming. Okay, and you're
Yeah.
just walking by, just getting this vibe. So now you spend a lot of time there, and I would assume are you teaching? Are you observing? What are you doing when you're in Nashville?
So when I'm in Nashville, I'm primarily observing and learning. I do a lot of work and training with Brand Builders Group, which is based there. I just got back 2 weeks ago from Nashville. I'm going again in March. I do a lot of learning, speaking there in March. I'm going to speak there. So that's where I go to be around like-minded professionals where I'm learning, and I spent a lot of time there. Last year, I think I had 4 or 5 trips there, which is, that's a good amount of trips to go across the country to visit there. So that's why I say, fly professor many times. It was so funny. Last semester, I was in my training session giving an exam to my students who were here in LA. So between Nashville, Vegas, and LA, those are kind of my hubs. And that's what I do. I like Nashville because of the music. I was staying for the first time this past January. I stayed at this hotel on Music Row, and had the ASCAP office and the BMI office there, and those like performing rights organizations, which are really important for artists to register and sign up for. But their offices were right there; you could walk into them, and that's rare, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just good for me as I'm continuing to learn more and become a better professor and a better music professional to be there, network with people, meet. So that's why I spend a lot of time in Nashville.
Wow. Okay. Okay. What um what are your people say about this? What do your students? What do they how are you do they first of all do they know you're doing all these things? Because I mean you just named like probably about 5 6 things that you're doing, right? They only know about, or do they only know about the you're a professor for them? Do they know about all the other things that you do as well?
Yeah, they know. We talk about at the beginning of the semester. A good example would be like I had an interview yesterday for local news in Las Vegas, Fox 5. They knew I was going, but I try to use what I'm doing as a lesson. So when I'm on the news talking about my new book on the local Fox affiliate, that's considered earned media. In the music business, most businesses you have like 3 ways to kind of market your product and yourself. It's paid, earned, and owed. Paid is when you take out ads, either in the magazines, billboards, social media ads. Earned is when you are interviewed by a publication blog, word of mouth, where you're not compensating them for it. That's earned media. Owned media is like the properties you own, particularly like your website. Social media, it's kind of gray whether you own it or not, because as we saw with TikTok, it can go away quickly and come back. But I use my interview as a prime example for this is an example, a real life example of how I'm going in to do this interview, and it's earned media. And so they walk through it. They know I DJ. I usually surprise them once or twice a semester with I'll open up class with a DJ set, particularly when we have virtual class. I'll be at my home studio and we will I'll DJ for them, so you can see that. So they know I DJ. They know I'm a professor. They're part of the book writing journey with me. A couple semesters ago, I showed my class potential book covers, and they voted on the one that was their favorite. I talked to my class about the book title. Then this semester and last semester, they knew about like the timeline, when I was going to release my book, what I had to turn in. This semester, they get to experience the book launch with me. So really, they get to not only learn about the textbook and what's in the industry, they get to live it along with me. They know I speak. They knew I was speaking at IMAX in Las Vegas. I send them clips. I sent them a clip earlier today about my interview. So it's like they get to see who's someone, and they like that. Someone who is their professor that's working in the industry, like they really respect and like that. And so I try to involve it as much as possible in my classes. I tell them to follow me on LinkedIn so they can follow my journey there. I'm always actively looking for jobs and internships for them, so I'm tagging them professionally. I teach them about LinkedIn, how to get on there and use it and be effective. So it's like they're part of my world now. And so we do that in class. We use an app called, or platform called Discord. We use that to communicate back and forth better than the learning management system that the campus has. But I also use it to show them that many of their favorite artists have their own private Discords where they share information and they reach their fans. So it's just by doing. We learn by doing and working along. So that's my answer.
Wow. No, that's cool. Getting them involved and on everything that you do. That's kind of dope. I mean, that's all I can say. It's kind of dope. So okay. So there was something I was gonna ask before I got to the book, the newest book that you have. But let's see, inspiration for learning. Okay, well let me, because I can't remember. I'm having a brain freeze here, but that's okay. But okay, so you came up with your new book. The book is due to come out February 18th, I believe. Correct? And
Correct. Yes.
correct. And it's called The Quiet Storm: A Historical and Cultural Analysis of the Power, Passion, and Pain of R&B Groups. Set to release, like I said, February 18th. So that's okay, good. You got the book there, so thank you very much for putting that. Congratulations on your second book. So where did that come from? Was this part of a thesis? I was going to ask, was that part of your thesis and it just evolved to being a book?
So my thesis at Berkeley was why there are no longer any Black R&B groups. That was my thesis. And so I did
Okay.
research. My students, actually, this was during the pandemic, my students helped me with the research too. And I determined, what happened to them. Then through my research, 99.5% of all R&B groups are Black anyway. So I just broadened the topic to say, what happened to all the R&B groups? I did the research. I found out the reasons as terms of their disappearance. We kind of discovered, or I knew, but they had dominated the regular Billboard charts. This is the Billboard Hot 100 charts that are oblivious to any genre. It could be a country hit in there, hip hop, pop, any hit. But R&B groups dominated those charts from, we'll say, like the 50s and 60s to the mid 2000s. Once Destiny's Child went solo, they fell off. No more. And it's a very when you look at the research, it's like shocking. It's like they just fall off a cliff. No more hits on the charts. So I examined why. But first, I wanted to give all the readers the history of R&B groups because it goes back to the 50s and the 60s. And what some people don't realize is that a lot of the music that people love today, they're sampling these classic and legendary R&B groups within the music. They're remaking their songs, all of those things. So that's what the book is about. It takes you through the history of R&B groups each decade. It goes the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I share the top 10 or 11 groups based on record sales, Grammy nominations and wins, Billboard Hot 100 hits, and then notable performances. That's the criteria that I use to rate the groups. We have 10 or 11 per decade. Some decades have honorable mention because they were just so many groups that were doing well in that decade. And then after that, each group, I highlight their top 100 hits, my favorite songs, my favorite samples. Then once you get to the last 15% of the book, I talk about what happened, why they disappear, and what's going to happen next. And that's the book.
Wow. Now that took probably what, about 3 or 4 years to compile?
4.5 years, exactly. 4.5 years.
Wow. 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 Now, was it okay? Obviously, you didn't know what you were, that you didn't know where this was going to go when you started your research, right? So, were
Correct.
you surprised with your findings at the end of the book? I mean, as you look back on it now, were you really surprised what happened, or were
Yes.
you were surprised and you had no idea until you did the research?
Yes, I had an inkling, a clue, but I didn't realize the depths to the disappearance. I didn't realize how many groups we had that were just legendary. There were so many interesting and fun facts that I just didn't know that I was able to uncover and learn during the research because I mean, we could talk for days about the most surprising facts, the stories. And I speak about 7 keys to unlocking your creativity. And I have all 7 keys within my speech has at least 2 or 3 R&B groups that exemplify that characteristic and that kind of strategy. And I didn't really know that when I was doing the research, but it came from the research. And it is like when I say like some of the things I learned, the book, like people like, wow, people who have read it are like, they just didn't understand and they didn't know. So that lets me know that, it's a topic that people forget to talk about, but once it's on their psyche, people want to talk about it.
Hmm. Now, are there still true R&B groups to this day, like in 2025? True R&B that goes back to, I mean, you started in the 50s, so
Yeah.
are there true R&B groups that exist now?
There are a few. There are not nearly as many as they once were. There are a few, and we have to really realize that, we were living through the golden era. We had a decade of like the 90s where you had TLC release 3 or 4 albums that all went at least platinum. They're one of only 2 female groups in US history to earn diamond status for an album. Diamond status is 10 million record sales or more. So they were living the heyday. Then you have other group, Boys to Men. They're one of the few African American R&B groups to earn a diamond sales for an album. Only one. You think about all the other R&B groups; they're the only one to hit 10 million album sales for a group so far. This could change as we go on. So that you have a group like the Supremes, 1960s. Their first 8 singles were not successful at all. Barely scratched the charts. They had one single. I wrote my notes down here. They had one single. It was when the love light starts shining through his eyes in 1963. That went to 23. Their next single, Where Did Our Love Go, went to number 1. They had an unprecedented run, never been done before or after. 11 of their next 14 songs hit number 1 on the charts. That's unbelievable.
Wow.
11 of their last 14 songs hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. So there's just more and more stories like that. One of my favorite stories is about resilience. The Whispers. We know the Whispers. Their first single came out in 1964. They didn't hit the Billboard Hot 100 top 20 until 1979. They didn't hit the top 10 until 1987 with Rocksteady. But the amount of resilience to keep at it for 23 years, that doesn't happen anymore. That doesn't happen. And there's just the Isley Brothers, another great story. They're the only group in history, any group in history, to have a Billboard Hot 100 song, new song, in 6 straight decades. The 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. They crossed 6 decades with hit songs. That has never been done before. I highly doubt it'll be done again. People don't really know that. They are legends. And I mean, I could talk about all day, but just this example of some of the things I learned, something that surprised me.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. I did know about the Ivy because I'm a huge Isley Brother fan, so I knew a little bit about that. But the Supremes, I didn't know they ran off like 11 straight or something, 11 out of
11 out of
14.
14. 11 out of
Yeah,
14.
that is incredible. Wow. So okay, so next for you gonna be teaching, R&B something or something's coming up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I could create a course on the history of R&B music. Absolutely. Really, what's next is making the book into a documentary. That's next. So
Okay.
eight episode documentary you might see on Netflix or HBO or Amazon Prime. That's next after the book launch and doing that.
Is that in the works or is that something you're putting out there in the universe? Is that something that's in the works?
I'm putting out in the universe.
Okay.
It's a little bit past, it's starting to get in the works. I'm trying to find someone who can at least I can have a conversation with it. And then
Okay.
if we can work well together and we can figure out the financing, then let's go. And see, when you ask about my students, I also have a segment of the entertainment operations class where we talk about TV, and I'm showing them through my book how a show or a property can go from book to TV to movie. And so that's another example of how I'm showing them how it can happen.
Wow. Wow. That's man. You got all angles here. I see that's coming up. Man, I mean, who knew? Who knew that this
No.
was going? Did you know? Did you know that this was going when you started, doing your research um, on this particular class that you teach at Cal State Fullerton? That it was gonna because all this now evolved. It started from there, correct?
I would
Or were
say
you working on things before you even took that particular position?
no, you're right. I would say when I started teaching at Cal State University Fullerton in late August 2018 is when this all started to come and become developed because that was when I first saw, okay, I love to teach. The students respond. Second, there's a need for a music business class. Okay, let's create that. Oh, if we like having you here, Amani, we want you to stay at Cal State Fullerton, but you're going to need to get your master's degree. Okay, I want to teach, and a master's degree wouldn't hurt. I know I'm a little late in life to go, but I'll still go. Then when I get the master's degree, oh, you have to come up with a thesis. What's your thesis going to be? Oh, it's going to be on R&B groups and what they went. So you can kind of follow the trajectories, and this one thing led to the next, one led to the next, and here we are. I would have not if you had talked to me in 2018, 2019, and you told me 5 years from now you're going to have released two books, and one of your books has the great potential to be a documentary, I would have been like, "Are you sure?" Because this, I don't see it. I'm not really seeing too much. I just see DJing. I don't see this.
So okay, well, where can I get the book? Before I forget that, where can I get the book?
So go to thequietstormbook.com. You can order your individual copies from Amazon or whatever platform or store you want. You can get copies in bulk. I have an offer there, special offer, pre-order offer if you want to order 5 books, $35.75. And there's a particular bonus offer if you want to order 250 books, like if you're planning a conference or a meeting or something. And I will, in addition to getting you the books, I will come and DJ your event for you. So that's an offer I have out there for pre-order. I'm making a race trying to get on the USA Today bestsellers list. So it takes a lot of like kind of outreach and work and people
Oh
buying
yeah.
in bulk, book in
Hmm.
lieu of fee. But I'm gonna try for it. We'll see. So that's my goal right now.
Wow, wow. It never stops. It never stops. So, are you still? Are you? I know you're DJing, but are you as busy as you used to be, or busier these days?
I would say I do less events in terms of the number, but higher in quality events.
Okay.
So less events, but higher in quality. A lot of corporate events. I have a nonprofit event in LA coming up in May. I have an event in Las Vegas next week on a Thursday at a lounge. I got a corporate event coming up in Sacramento in March. So it's just different events in different locations. I think over the past, ever since the pandemic, I've started to do more events outside of like where I live than where I live.
Okay. Okay. Now I remember the at IMAX the seminar that you did or the talk that you did. It was I don't remember the topic, but I do remember there was an R&B flair to it because you were
Mhm.
playing music along with whatever the talk you were having. Can you remember that, and
Yeah.
can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, my signature keynote as a professional speaker is it's called Resilient and Brilliant: 7 Keys to Unlocking Your Creativity. So you have the resilient and brilliant, R and B, 7 keys to unlock your creativity, and I go through the 7 keys: creative risks, collaborate with others, be persistent, practice resilience, embrace failure, reinvent yourself, and stay curious. And I relate each part of that system, or my framework has at least one or two R&B groups that I tell their story with to share the message and what they can do. So, for example, creative risks. I tell the story of Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're one of the first groups to use a magician during their live acts. And the magician that they used was a very popular magician by the name of David Copperfield. And so I talk about what they did and how they collaborated. Collaborate with others. We love Cool in the Game. Cool in the Game reached a plateau where they could never get a number one Billboard hit. They got to like three or four. They ended up collaborating with Uamir Deodata from Brazil, and they brought in JT Taylor as the lead singer, and they finally were able to get their only number one hit, Celebration, through that collaboration. Be persistence. That's the Supremes example. When they first got signed to Motown, they were only allowed to clap their hands on records. That was it. For a whole year, they were just hand clapping on records, nothing else. Then they were allowed to sing backup. Then they got signed. Like I said, their first 8 songs didn't do anything. They were known as like the no hit Supremes, but they were persistent and they kept going. And then they ended up blowing up. Resilience. I talk about the Whispers, Embrace Failure, Destiny's Child. They were on Star Search and actually lost. They came in second to this group called the Skeleton Crew. Now, have you heard of the Skeleton Crew, or have you heard of Destiny's Child? I bet you heard of Destiny's Child, but not the Skeleton Crew. So they talked about how they embraced failure, kind of reworked their act and their style and their mission, and then just came out blazing. Reinvention. I'm a New Edition fan. When Ralph Tresvant, Bobby Brown, Johnny Gill went solo, 3 of the members of the group, Belle Biv DeVoe, reinvented themselves as BBD, had one of the biggest hits in history, Poison, all that. And then you have Stay Curious with Sly and the Family Stones. They had a new type of music, they had a new type of group where they had men and women playing all instruments, people of all races in the group. So they were really curious and they really tapped into different elements of the music industry as before. So that's like a really quick version of my signature keynote where I walk through the different steps of the framework and relate it to a group. I play the music, I tell the story, then I give you homework on what you can do to take more creative risks, what you can do to be more persistent. And that's how the keynote goes.
Wow, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, okay, what advice would you give people coming up, either in hospitality or music or whatever? Just what advice would you give people that are coming up and then they're interested in music? Let's just say that. Let's say that.
Um, I would say to learn as much as possible. Always be a lifelong learner of the industry. Read books, watch interviews, read interviews, watch interviews, read books, talk to people, network, which is a separate topic. That's number one: is be a lifelong learner. Two is develop relationships in the industry that you want to work in, and make sure they're authentic. Just meet people, stay in touch, offer to be of service, and just keep in touch. I think relationships will get you much further. Look, we've known each other for 20 years. So we have a relationship. We see each other like it goes back, and those things mean a lot over time. So networking and learning, those are the two pieces of advice I would say. And if you have a dream and a goal and you're passionate about it, don't wait to pursue it. Try to pursue it as quickly as possible. Even if you have to pursue it on the side while you're working full time, don't wait, because the longer you wait, the less likely you are to pursue it.
Hmm. That's a good one. I like that. I like that. What instrument do you play?
So I play the turntables. That's considered an instrument. I grew up playing the
Okay.
saxophone. You see my little piano behind me. I got the piano behind me. That's the
Okay.
one I'm kind of in process of learning. So though, and I grew up playing the saxophone. So those instruments I play, but primarily it's the turntables right now.
Okay. Okay. And how has that evolved since when you first started DJing to now? I mean, are we still mixing and scratching, or is it more technical now? How has it evolved?
Always mixing and scratching. Now doing even more live blends and things like that, putting an instrumental over a cappella. I love doing that. And now it's just evolved to using all those skills, but then tapping into new genres. One of the newest genres I had primarily since like the pandemic is Afro beats. I'm a piano, adding new
Hmm.
genres to like my set. So I'll still play hip hop, sneak in some pop, but I'm gonna sneak in a couple of Afro beat songs here and there throughout the night, just so people can get a different feel and they don't even realize what they're listening to.
Hmm. Interesting. That is interesting. Wow. Okay. Okay. Guys, it's funny. I had this other question. It was a burning question too. Now, I forgot it
Got
again.
it.
But
Yeah. Well,
I
write
got
it
to start
down
writing
next
stuff
time.
down.
Write it down next time.
Oh well, if I had a pen, I would. But so okay, what's next for you now? What's the next thing? What's going on at the end of this week?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in book launch season. So, like for you, being on a lot of people's podcasts, encouraging people to buy the book pre-order. So talking to people, um, it's really this is the year of the book launch. I just had an appearance on local Fox affiliate here in Vegas. There'll be other places where I'm getting interviewed by Berkeley College of Music Friday. So interviews, spreading the word about the book, and then speaking about the book and more speaking opportunities so I can grow my coaching clients. That's my
Okay,
big
now
focus for 2025.
now are you doing how does the Fox affiliate find out about your book? Are you putting out press releases or how does that working?
Yeah, so I have a PR team I work with. My book publisher, they have a PR team, and they were able to get me that interview. They've got a long list of people they're reaching out to. I have a local PR person in Las Vegas who's helping me. Um, so those are kind of the primary ways, in addition to my own personal outreach. Like I asked you, can I be on the podcast? The book's coming out. Same thing, like personal outreach. Maybe when people read the book and discover it, then they'll reach out to me, word of mouth. But for now, I have to really, really like be on podcasts, get mentioned in articles so that it's all building up to like February 18th when the book comes out. It's a lot of press, a lot of buzz, people buy it. Hopefully, it will allow me to be on bigger stages, get more clients, further establish myself as a thought leader so that maybe, when any news station, CNN, Fox LA, the DC, I would love, my dream is to be on my local DC news station where I grew up,
Okay.
WUSA Channel 9. They have something that's going on for Black Music Month or something happens, so they call in an expert. So I like to say, like, I'm an up and coming musicologist. They call me to appear on the show. That's the process. But really, the focus is the book launch and then acquiring more clients for my coaching.
Okay. Very good. Now now I remember the question I was going to ask you.
Let's
AI.
go.
How has AI helped or hindered you being a DJ or anything that you're doing now?
AI is a very, very complex topic. I will say that we're starting to see signs within the music industry where you'll have these AI artists or AI services that are flooding the streaming services like Spotify. So they're flooding the playlists. So what is happening is that these fake artists, these AI properties, are taking money out of real artists' pockets because they're on the charts, they're on the playlist, they're taking up listening time. So it's really complex. You also see AI artists that are imitating the sounds of real artists. So it's complicated. Through the creative process, though, AI can help you. It can help you when you're writing songs. It can help you with certain melodies or chords you want to use. So there are some creative and positive uses for it too. Where we run into trouble is, some of the more nefarious uses of AI. So it's something that we have to monitor. I know that the within the music industry, they have a lot of advocates and a lot of people that are doing work and passing laws in terms of copyright to prevent AI from maybe taking work away from people, but it's interesting. So there are some positive uses for it, a lot of them. There are some uses where it could be a little bit of theft. So we have to pay attention and just watch and learn.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'm winding down here. We're on with Amani Roberts. He's been going through everything. I mean, him being a professor, him flying back and forth for his students, him writing a book, his second book, him being a
Mhm.
DJ, and now a speaker as well. I mean, all these things, and we hadn't even really scratched on the, where I met him from. I mean, he was heavy in hospitality. He was a general manager. He was a director of sales and marketing. Some of the things that I've done as well. But we don't even, not that we left that in the background. It's just that I guess that was part of the journey, but that's not the journey. That's not the path he's on now. So, and I just appreciate where you are now and how you continue to reinvent yourself. I mean, I guess that's the only way I can put it. Yeah, is that a good way of putting it? Reinventing
Yeah,
yourself?
that's a good way. I think what we don't realize when we're in college or growing up is that life is not linear. A lot of times we think that we're just going to go from job to job and continue, and it's going to be like a straight line. Well, there are going to be some turns, there are going to be some potholes where life kind of kicks your butt or whatever, whether it be personal or professional. It's like a little bit of a circle, and you just kind of loop around, and you never. It's very rare you go from point A to point B in life in terms of your career or personally. And I think that that's what means that we all have to continue to reinvent yourself. Like for you, you've been through many renovations and reinventions. And I give you credit because you actually listened to me many years ago. I said, look, you got to get on the social media thing, you got to do that. And then you got into like podcasting and recording, but you're consistent. Most people will try things and then stop. They're not consistent, but you're consistent. You keep at it. And that's when you can really get the fruits of your label. So I give you props and credit as well.
I appreciate that. You were being a professor back then. I didn't even know it. You know what I mean?
Neither did I.
So
Neither did I. Neither
no,
did I.
I definitely appreciate, man, just like I said, we don't see each other as often as we used to, but when we do, I mean, like I said, if it's like at an event like IMAX, I mean, we talk for a few minutes and we keep going because we're both on a mission, right? But I appreciate the hustle, man. I appreciate what you do. Now, are you still as involved in social media as you've always been?
Of course, to promote the book and kind of my personal branding, yes, I'm probably most active on like LinkedIn is the platform I'm probably most active on. And then you have like Instagram and some others, but really LinkedIn and Instagram are my primary two. But what I teach my students, and which I need to continue to be better at, is that there's more value in collecting email addresses and owning your
Owner.
platform than putting so much time and effort into these other platforms. Now, LinkedIn, I kind of violate that rule, but I'm still trying to drive people to collect their email address so you can do a newsletter and things like that, because I think that's a little bit more secure than what we've seen with social media. I mean, the example of TikTok going away, even for only 12 hours, should really be a wake up call to some people because you can't build your audience on rented real estate.
That's true. That is so true. You're absolutely right. So no, I appreciate you saying that as well. That kind of just, I mean, I know that, but it takes someone else to say that sometime for it to really register. And yeah, we don't own that, and it can quickly go away, just like you said, TikTok did. So it's valuable that the email addresses are the valuable part, and forming a newsletter like you do, because I get your newsletter every month.
Hmm.
Like clockwork. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate the consistency in that, and I need to be better at that as well. I need to create a newsletter. So I guess it'll come in time, but no, I
Yeah. The
appreciate
work
that.
is never done. The work is never done.
Exactly, exactly. So, do you find, and this is the last question, do you find yourself working more now than you ever worked in your life? I mean, you have a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire, like my dad would say. You got a lot of irons in the fire. So,
Mm.
but like when you were working as a GM, general manager, whatever, but that's just one thing. That's just one focus for the most part. What's going on at that property? What's going on here? What's going on there? But here, you have all these irons in the fire. Do you, I don't say, is one more rewarding than other, or was it just that was the journey then, the journey has changed now? I mean,
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. I think it's a different kind of work because you're focused on just one thing when you're a general manager or you're a director of marketing. But you're working for someone, so all the revenue is not going to you. Whereas when you work for yourself, it's more difficult. But once you can get on a certain level, I'm not there yet, the more the money will go to you. But it's harder. And honestly, I'm trying to actually niche down and not do less work, but really, really focus and do that. So like teaching and coaching, like that's very similar. So I do that. And then, I have the book. So I wrote the book, which will help me get more speaking opportunities, which will lead to like the teaching and the coaching. So I'm really trying to niche down so that I'm driving people to my primary offers and then go from there. And I'll still DJ because that's part of what I do. But really, even niching down with that, like focusing more on like corporate events, less social, trying to do like a lounge kind of gigs, no clubs. So trying to really, really niche down and stay focused because, like for me, I wrote a book about music. I teach and profess about music. I coach people in the music business, like that. So I'm really trying to kind of niche down. Now, of course, my secondary market for coaching is hospitality professionals because I use my experience to kind of help people. But really, it's trying to niche down as much as possible because once you do that, you can really get more. And so that's at the stage I'm at where I'm trying to finalize my niching down so I can get more.
Very good. Very good. All right. Well, we're going to leave it at that. So, can you give your email address or ways that people can contact you?
Yes. So I'll give you three ways. The main way to order the book, thequietstormbook.com. You can order it there on any platform that you want, Amazon, book orders. My website is amaniexperience.com. It's A like Apple, M like Mary, A like Apple, N like Nancy, I, experience.com. And my email is just amani@amaniexperience.com. So reach out, message me, follow me on LinkedIn, Amani Roberts. And those are the places you can find me and stay in touch.
Very good. And I'll make sure I put that information in the show notes as well. So just to make it easier for everyone else. But no, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you so much. All the best with the book and everything else that you got going on. And hopefully our paths will cross sometime soon in the near future.
They will. Thank you very much for having me on a special day, Russell. I appreciate it. Thank you to your audience for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Once again, Amani Roberts. All right, man. All right, good. I appreciate everybody coming on and joining us for this brief hour. It went by really quick, but there was a lot we covered. A lot of stuff I did not know about the music industry and the business of music. And if you're interested, go back, just do the rewind and check it out. Once again, this is on YouTube, LinkedIn, and the replay will be on Facebook as well. So there you go. So until next week, and I have another guest, but I'll let you know who that will be next week. So until then, you guys have a great week. And as always, peace. And let me see if I can at least get us out of here.
Thank you for joining On Air with Russell of Hotels. Please tune in every Tuesday at 1 p.m. as we talk to other hospitality professionals. Your feedback is important to Russell. Feel free to email him at russell@russellofhotels.com with any questions or suggestions. Until next time, try not to be a person of success, rather become a person of great value.